Risk management for the process server is a very in-depth conversation to have. There's lots of moving parts to it. When I think risk management, I think of a number of those moving parts. I think what different types of coverages are out there that I might not know about or I might not be thinking about, I may have a unique risk that I need to cover. And some of those might be EPLI, or employer's liability coverage, which covers sexual assault in the workplace. It covers wrongful hiring, wrongful firing, and those sorts of issues. If you have a medium to large size business, something you might want to look into. EPLI is another big one, I think, that goes a little bit misunderstood, and people just think, nah, it's additional expense, I don't want it. EPLI is employer's liability, and what that does is it protects against wrongful hiring and firing, discrimination cases, wrongful firing, those sorts of things. It covers sexual harassment claims in the workplace. So if you're a one-man, one-woman shop, probably not necessary. But if you have an agency that maybe has 10, 15, 20, 30 individuals in it, again, look at the economy that we live in. Anybody can sue for anything. And I've seen those, not the policies itself, but those actions being taken place because it's a quick hit. It's some easy money. You really got to be careful with that. So if you have a mid to large size agency, that might be something to look into. Another one might be cyber liability. Let's say you're a private investigator and you do a lot of background asset type traces, and you're collecting pertinent individual personal information. You have full social security numbers. You're not using truncated social security numbers, and they're stored in your database or your server. If someone breaches that server and gets a hold of that information, it's a good chance you're going to be held liable because you didn't put in the procedures in place to make sure that breach could not occur. Cyber liability is a fairly new coverage that's out there. I think it's highly applicable to the process server and private investigator professions. And if you do hold that personal information, it's something you might want to look into. Some others might be your personal auto versus a commercial auto policy. A lot of folks may not understand that a personal auto policy may not relate or trigger if a commercial accident happens. And by that I mean if you're using your personal vehicle for business purposes, you really need to look in to make sure that you have the correct insuring agreement. That could include a business use endorsement. It could include making the decision to change from a personal auto policy to a commercial auto policy, even though there's a greater expense involved. The coverage is going to be enhanced that way. There are a number of other pieces of the puzzle. We could go into quality control, subcontractor versus employees, different ways that you structure your workplace and your work environment to make sure that if a catastrophe happens or if a claim ensues, that you know that you have the right coverages in place and the right policies and procedures in place so that you're not stuck holding the bag not knowing what to do.